I'm Minister Patricia Henry. Join me every Sunday right here on the Tobago Inspirational Network at 9:30 p.m. for Stepping on the High Waters. Stay tuned because God is turning things around for us in this season.
Why is it when you need a miracle, it doesn't happen, but when you least expect it, it happens?
You are married, you have challenges in your relationship, but your spouse is unwilling to accede to any counseling. Is divorce an option?
How does a parent handle a promiscuous child?
What are considered the do's and don'ts of a born-again couple who is not yet married?
There are always more questions than answers. So here is Apostle Gemma.
Grace and peace to you. Welcome to Ask Pastor Gemma. In the event that you're a first-time viewer, I thank you for taking the time to be with me this afternoon. You would want to stay and view simply because I am going to start dealing with something that everybody would have experienced. And the theme of what I'll be sharing will be why God's answers to our whys. And I'm sure that at some point you will say, why God? Why did this happen to me? Why did you allow it to happen? Why didn't you stop it? And it seems as though at times God is silent. He doesn't say anything. But I'm coming to you today to tell you that God actually responds to your why questions. And sometimes we say they are dead-end questions. They're not always dead-end questions. See answers, so you have to stay to get some of the answers to our why God questions. If you're viewing me for the first time, my name is Gemma Duncan. I'm married to Apostle Vivian Duncan. And together we pastor Divine Destiny Worship Center. Our headquarters is in Digo Martin on the Digo Martin Main Road, opposite Sardonyx Drive. We have branches in Sangre Grande, in Shoguanas, Faizabad. There's a branch in Tobago and one in Antigua. The Rio Claro branch is now fully online. Our services are in person on Sunday mornings. Now you can come in person or you can take us online. And then we have the weekly services, Thursday evening at 7, Friday evening at 7. And those two are fully online. The administrative office is opened Monday to Thursday from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. and the business center from Monday to Friday from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Please join us for these two great sessions. Call on numbers. Today, I'm happy to introduce you to part 4 of our little series entitled Why God? God's answers to our why questions. He does answer at times. And there are times when he says yes. There are times when he says no. There are times when he says wait. But there are other times as well. And as we go through this little series, I hope it's a blessing to you as it brings understanding to you. God bless you. Let's look at James again. We seen in James a little bit. He seemed to be giving us some wisdom. And we're going to stay in James a little while. James chapter 4, verse 2. And we're going to look at the 4 versions again. King James Version, the Amplified, NIV, and Message. And we're looking at the latter part is where we're going to take it. You know why you're not getting answers or there is no change coming to your situation? Simply because you didn't ask. And some of us believe that because God knows everything, that there is no need for us to ask him. I mean, doesn't he know? When you look at Jesus's attitude to people who he would approach for healing, you would wonder, what kind of question is that Jesus asking them? You meet a man who is blind, and you are the healer, the man is expectant, and so on. They said Jesus is there, and you're going to ask him, what do you want, or do you want to see? What it is you want? And the guy said, well, I want to receive my sight. And Vivian always says that the question that Jesus would ask is to bring the person on his wavelength.
That's right.
Because
same
sometimes,
frequency, yeah.
You know, his frequency. Sometimes we didn't ask. And you will say, well, why isn't it happening, Lord? Because you simply didn't ask. And I learned that. And so James chapter 4 verse 2 says, he lust and have not. He kill and desire to have, and cannot obtain. He fight war, yet you have not, simply because he asks not. My God. And the Lord said, you're lusting, you're killing, you desire. In other words, you're doing all kinds of negative and wrong things to acquire something, and all you had to do was ask me. I remember when Nathan came to David concerning Bathsheba, and he gave him the little parable and so on. And you know what Nathan said? He said, God said, I mean, if you wanted a wife, another wife, I would have given it to you. You could have asked me. You didn't have to go and take Uriah's wife and kill him. And all right, before I comment further, let's look at the different versions of it. We amplified it. You are jealous and covet what others have, and your desires go unfulfilled, so you become murderers. To hate is to murder as far as your hearts are concerned. So Jesus said, all right, you didn't kill nobody with no gun or knife, but you hate them, and as far as I'm concerned, you're a murderer. You burn with envy and anger, and are not able to obtain the gratification, the contentment, and the happiness that you seek. So you fight and war. And he says simply, you do not have because you do not ask. My goodness. All we had to do, God is saying, listen. And in some cases, God says, you didn't ask me. Let's look at the NIV. You want something but don't get it. You kill and covet, but you cannot have what you want. You quarrel and fight. You do not have because you do not ask God. And then we're looking at the Message. You lust for what you don't have and are willing to kill to get it. You want what isn't yours and will risk violence to get your hands on it. You wouldn't think of just asking God for it, would you? My God. I had a conversation with a pastor some years ago, and she taught me a few things concerning how she approached God and her children, especially her daughters, coming from the background that she came. And she said to me, she was very specific in praying for her daughters because there was a kind of dysfunction, something wrong with her family. All the single women had babies in their teens out of wedlock. And all the married women had no children. Everybody who got married and decided that they don't want to have any children before, they want to do what is right and have covenant, they had no children. And she started a prayer vigil. She was one of those who had children out of wedlock as well. And she had 2 daughters to start off with. And she started to pray when she got saved about her daughter and asked God to break it. 2 things. She said, I don't want them to have children out of wedlock. And when they get married, I want them to have babies. And she was very specific in asking. And God broke that thing in her family and granted her request. And it dawned on me that I never really went into that kind of specifics in asking God for anything. There was just one thing that I asked God for. I never asked for career or any such thing. And my desire was that my children would love God with a passion, that they would serve him, that they would allow him to use them, and that they will be a blessing and a contributor to the society. God granted me those things. But there are many things I can't say, I didn't ask. And then I went to God, and I continued to go to him and say, okay, I didn't quite know and understand that. Now I'm asking you. I know I'm kind of late to ask, but I'm asking you still. And I'm saying to you, sometimes we frustrate ourselves as to why God is not giving us certain things. And we're asking why I'm not having it. And God is simply saying, you didn't ask me. You went about doing all kinds of things to get it. And you failed. And all you had to do, especially if it's something legitimate, if it's something that is not contrary to what the word of God says, it doesn't go against the will and the grain of God for your life. And so sometimes it's about time that we start to be specific in terms of what we want God to do in our lives. It's not too late. Join me and start to say, Lord, I didn't know that I'm supposed to ask for all the things specifically. So I'm asking now. I'm going back and I'm asking. Because the Bible says you don't have simply because you didn't ask. Any comment?
Well, it's as plain as plain as ever, right? And that's why it's important to be exercising your prophetic connectivity with God, because in doing so, he helps you to project beyond the present situation that you're in, and actually gives you a preview of the outcome. So now you have a target. And asking here is not only in terms of please. No, asking here is rising in authority as you mature in God, to speak the word and see that which God has already shown you, right? Come into your grasp, into your possession, as it were, as opposed to, oh Lord, I don't have any money. Oh Lord, no. He already has provided what you would need. He can show you it.
What to do? What do I do?
And now he's saying, make a demand of me.
What qualification I need to have? What skills training I need to have?
That's
Which
right.
Which door should I open? Because sometimes we would want something and you ask and God says, I need faith to go back to school. I need faith to go and get trained.
That's right.
He's given me a business idea. I have to work it after. It is not simple just asking and sitting down and so on. But I'm just saying that there are times when it is just that.
That's right.
It's simple.
The child in school now, and one of the sisters from church, and she would, I'm not telling you, she'll come and tell you herself. We dedicated that child right there at Divine Destiny, right there, and her dream based on the prophecy that God gave us for her. And we keep reminding her all the time. Based on that prophecy, she is now ready to go pursue that part of her career. No, she didn't, since she was a baby and she learned to talk. Lord, please, I want to be this. Lord, please. No, every stage of her education in which she became embroiled, and I use embroiled, not just involved, but embroiled. She became the books that she was reading. She prepared for the exam the way she was supposed to. Do you know all that was asking or reaching out for? And now she's ready to go to the next step. She didn't have to ask, God, please, Lord, I want to be there, please. If you are asking and you're not putting out the effort, then it will be, how you call it? It would be a gift that would come to you that you will waste, because you have to prepare yourself. And all that is part of the asking. Understanding from that, as opposed to a thing with a question mark. It's the way you posture yourself, you're asking. And remember when you were, well, I remember when you were small, you didn't ask mommy, beat me, please. She just say, you're asking for it. You're asking for licks. Why? Because you behave. So we have to behave in a particular manner, so God will know we're asking for the thing that He has already promised, because He is the one that knows our level of maturity, that He would never give it to us before we're ready, because He don't want us to waste it. And if you understand from that angle, all of us will get busy tuning into God, what it is you really want me, you really have there for me. And when it speaks it, whether in a dream, whether while you're praying, whether when one of us teaching, it just epiphany, as they call it. Oh, that's the target. So you start working for it. You start asking for it. Look at the young man in Trinidad now. I mean, they expect him to win the world championship cycling. Since he in his teens, early teens, he asking for the gold medal. How? By going through the exercises. He didn't just happen to jump on a bike and go and win the Commonwealth gold medal. The guys who get the Commonwealth gold medal in the 4x100, they didn't just go up there and say, give me the baton. No, they've been asking for that, how long? By doing what? Following the rules. That's how it works. You want to get a loan in the bank? You don't just walk in there and say, I would like to get a loan to buy a house. Do you know when they ask you, what are your assets? They really are saying to you, you should have been asking for that a long time. By doing what? Preparing yourself by building up your finances and your assets to come. So when you open your mouth to ask, boom, you already have the back end. So it's a host of dynamics, but it's very interesting. Follow what Apostle Jeva really saying here tonight.
The bottom line is,
yes,
there are some things that you simply ask God for.
Right.
And because she was wise, looking at the pattern in her family and realizing that she also fell into that same pattern, she started to pray and ask God that things would be different in her family. And that's, I would say, there are times when it's just simply asking. Of course, she would have had to work on her children, talk with them, train them in a particular way, and all that. So there is input, and that's the point we see, that when you just ask, there are some things that we must do and follow, which those things are absolutely important. I remember, I have one example, and then I would want to make a little comment before we move on to the last point, hopefully. I remember years ago, there was this, pastor, we were much younger, and we were in some event, and he was around the table, and I don't know how the conversation, it went in a particular direction. And he was talking about what he asked God for specifics in a wife. And he was really very excited because God gave him specifically what he asked for. And he was specific to ask God for a beautiful wife. He wanted a wife like a kind of beauty queen, somebody like that kind of a beauty. And the truth is, she was that. She could be into some kind of beauty contest. She still is absolutely lovely, And I sat down there and I said, no, boy, I wonder what we're asked for. I didn't say anything. Of course, the pastors, everybody else was quiet in terms of, because the wife's there. And I mean, I am not sure that any one of them of us qualified to be any Miss Universe or Miss Nothing, right? And, so he was there and going, and he was really very excited. And the truth is, God gave him that. I don't know if he knew that like he understood his destiny and his future. And as the years went by, he realized that he got specifically what he asked for. She wasn't smart, she wasn't intelligent, and there were many things lacking in her life that I wouldn't want to talk about now, that he didn't even think in terms of future posterity or anything. So he didn't ask God for any of those things, and he didn't get any of them. I'm saying to us that when you're asking, make sure you ask in a balanced way, because who wouldn't want a beautiful wife? Who wouldn't want a handsome husband? You want tall, dark, and handsome. But if you just ask God for that alone, he may just give you this absolutely gorgeous spouse. But you didn't ask anything. You didn't mention character. You didn't mention ambition. You didn't mention love for God. You didn't mention intelligence. Because when Adam looked at Eve, all he saw was bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. But he didn't realize that she was smart, she had a brain and everything. And so when we are asking, we have to be very careful that we are very holistic in our asking. I just thought I'll throw that in case you're young and you're praying for a husband or a wife. Just don't ask for just physical attributes, which nothing is wrong with, but make sure that you ask for other qualities that will sustain a relationship and sustain ministry. Why is God wanting us to ask? Well, what's the point of us going to him? Asking engenders relationship. God is not wicked. He's not saying, I have it, but let me just wait for the person to ask. God wants relationship. And when we have that level of dependency on God, that we will go to him to ask for things, what we do is every time we go, there is this relationship that we fostering with God. He wants us to ask and keep on asking, because asking allows us to go to him all the time. And he wants to work in us as well as for us, because as we come to him, as we ask of God, as we converse with him, as we communicate with him, we may ask for things, and God will say, I want, as we talked about before, I want to do some work in you. There has to be some kind of character building to prepare you for this particular thing. And Apostle Vivian talked about it, because the athlete has to train. There are certain things and qualities that are absolutely necessary that you have to now put into this whole experience for you to get what it is you want. Asking begins that process of intimacy and relationship with God. So God is not being selfish or wicked when he says, I want you to ask. Because if everything I want, God just gives me and I never ask, I need to go to him. And we're human. And as a human, we'll hardly go. But as the need arises, we go to God and we ask, because it doesn't always come as readily, as easily as we would think.
He can move mountains. Keep me in the valley. Hide me from the rain. Come on, our God is awesome. He heals me when I'm broken.
So many of you have asked the question, how can I learn to understand the Bible? How will I grasp it? I embrace the Bible as a whole, but still, when I read, I find great difficulty, challenges in understanding. Even when the sermons are preached, I still find that I cannot follow the pastor as I would like to. But if you feel that way, I just want to give you a little heads up. The promo will come out at some point. That School of the Bible 2023. Registration will be open for you. You can call in anytime, 633-3780, and inquire about School of the Bible. In a nutshell, School of the Bible is a program for regular people in the pews, in the benches, who just want to understand the Bible better. For 2023, we offer 3 tracks. We call them all-in track, where you have to do all the work. You have assignments, you have assessments, you have book reports, and whatever is involved, you have to do everything. You have the auditing track, where you're doing to do assessments and assignments. You have everything else to do. And the final track is the auxiliary track, where you only do a pre-test and a post-test. When you call us 633-3780, we're going to give you all the details. And if you're really serious about being a part of it, we will send you a brochure with the information and answer any of the questions that you may have. You may contact us at 633-3780 for further information on SOTB or sotb@ddwc.net. sotb@ddwc.net. see you to ever forget what Jesus said. He said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man comes to the Father except by me.
I'm Minister Patricia Henry. Join me every Sunday right here on the Tobago Inspirational Network at 9:30 p.m. for Stepping on the High Waters. Stay tuned because God is turning things around for us in this season.